This is Futures Power Hour, sponsored by CME Group. I'm your host, Chris Vecchio. He's Ilya Spivak. Ilya, it's a sea of red out there today.
Yeah. It seems like the inflation narrative has taken a sort of life onto its own, almost as if the market is saying, you know what, it doesn't really matter whether crude oil keeps going up or doesn't. It's done. The damage is there. Central banks have moved. We're going to have higher interest rates. Go ahead and price that out across the board. The bonds are absolutely screaming lower. But the most interesting thing is that through all of it, crude oil is stuck in a narrow little range, about a $9 range, and is meandering there for a few days, almost as if nobody even really cares, because it's already a fait accompli that this has already occurred.
Yeah, we had a window with which we could reverse or at least contain the damage. Containment has now failed.
Yeah.
Perhaps the view is being vindicated in time, but I was joking that maybe the reason why oil vol's coming in is because no one's uncertain about the future. We all are more certain that oil prices will just be staying up moving forward. And you're starting to filter through across a broad variety of asset classes still. The bonds are trading heavy. The metals are trading heavy. They tried to bounce back earlier, could not. And oil, you mentioned pressing the top side of the range. Brent futures near 110, CL up over 98 at points during the day. The dollar here strong, so the liquidity reach in the market persists. It's more of the pre-weekend de-risking that we've seen over the past few weeks. This is now the third weekend that we've been going into with the war, Ilya. Mm-hmm. And it feels like a very familiar Friday of price action where stocks are down, bonds are down, oil is up, and the dollar is moving higher here. So we can go to the charts here, Ryan, and get into the slides. We do need to go into the calendar for next week, Ilya, where, this week there wasn't that much to work with. Next week, you could argue there's not much to work with. Of course, we do have our top event, which is oil still. This will be a running gag here moving forward. I hope people like the joke. We're doing it 2 weeks in a row on a Friday, Ilya, which brings us to our actual calendar, which is actually uninspiring.
No, this week at least we had, and it was clearly impactful.
Central banks.
That's the thing. Look at the price action now. It's everything to do with those central banks. This week was a week in two parts. The one before the marathon and the one after. And over about 24 hours there, this untethering between crude oil and central banks occurred. It is as if the markets no longer need crude oil to drive the inflation into rates, into risk aversion story. And it's because every single one of those central banks, of course, we knew the RBA was going to be hawkish. They were hawkish to begin with. So that wasn't the surprise. The big change was Europe. Europe now is a completely different monetary policy landscape, vastly, than it was 48 hours ago.
Yeah.
I mean, the Bank of England is a case in point. They were expected to cut by 0.5% this year. They are now expected to hike by that much. The ECB was expected to do nothing. They're expected to hike by 50 basis points. All rate cuts priced into Fed funds futures for the Fed, gone for this year. No more Fed action this year. And the markets were convinced in 50 basis points even just weeks ago. So,
Ilya, not for nothing. CME Fed Watch tool right now is giving you a 41% chance of a rate hike by October this year.
And there we go. There we go. We are almost 50-50 to a hike, everybody. And really ask yourself, why do you do this? Why do you participate in markets? Do you participate in markets to be right? Or do you participate in markets to make money? I was wrong about the stock market almost all of last year. Basically everything from February's meltdown, which I made money in, into March and April. Of course, I was short. I was looking for that to come back way too long. I was taking small, risk-defined positions at extremes where I could get 2-to-1 risk reward or better. And the moment that they didn't work to the tune of 1 to 1.5% of equity, I cut them. And I traded other things. because being wrong is fine. Losing money is not fine.
The job is to make money, not be right. If you're right and you happen to make money, it's a good benefit, but I'd rather be wrong and make money.
Yes.
Right. So
yes,
that's what pays the bills here. So
that's what we're doing here.
Ilya, 2 days ago, we were noting how this rebound back into the former, neckline, so to speak, it gave you that bearish outside engulfing bar / key reversal. We had moved above the prior session high. We closed below the prior session low. It comes as a rejection of the 1 month. It gets you back below the 1 week. Momentum here is just so firm, and volatility is starting to expand once more. So you are getting, I wouldn't say panic conditions yet, but we are getting flush conditions in play now that we're seeing the chickens come home to roost on the supply chain issues, that no matter what the Trump administration does moving forward, we will have a problem. The war could end today. We are going to have a problem in the economy for the next few months with higher prices in a whole host of issues. And so the labor market, which was already struggling, is out. The only question is, Ilya, and this is the big question, and I hate to sound callous like this, as consumers, we are going to struggle. Recessions in the United States are not caused by consumers struggling. They're caused by declines in business investment. So the question is whether or not the supply chain crisis that we're facing now is simply something that rolls into higher prices, or it leads into something worse. For the United States, at least, we're probably just looking at higher prices right now, given the way our economy is situated. Asia probably is thinking more recession and significant demand destruction over there. But this is still very much a 2022 situation, Ilya. Like, what worked in 2022 for you as a trader? I think that's the question you as an audience member need to be asking yourself. What worked for you? What didn't work for you? If it didn't work for you, don't do it. If it worked for you, do it. You know what worked for me, Ilya, in 2022? Long commodities, short tech. Pummeling ARK, long oil, long gas, long metals, long wheat. Commodities up. Long duration tech down.
Yeah. I mean,
higher for longer. That's the higher for longer playbook.
That's the higher for longer playbook. Let's just remember why we're making this parallel. What was 2022 about? It was about the Fed aggressively raising interest rates. What are we seeing in the bond market right now that the stock market is responding to with such negativity? An aggressive rise in interest rates. That's what this boils down to. I know I am constantly banging on about the only thing that matters is the cost of money, but the only thing that matters is the cost of money. That's the first question you answer before you go and say, where should I put money at risk?
It's something that you say?
I think I may have mentioned it once or twice. And so the thing that, as ever, we have to watch here is interest rates. And we just heard all of the world's central banks tell you what their bias on interest rates is. Certainly the most liquid currency central banks. You've just heard from the BOJ, the ECB, the BOE, the RBA, the SNB, and of course the Fed. And all of them told you exactly the same thing.